This is Lynn,
And this is Paul, and we are.
along the way.
We're happy to have you with us. And today we're going to do part two of more personal and family related issues. And today we thought we would talk about something that nobody really wants to talk about, especially on camera. But here we go. What do you do when, as a couple, you are at odds with each other and Sunday morning is approaching? How do you deal with that?
Yep, and if you're hearing the rain in the background, all of a sudden it started raining.
Yep.
So
And in our camper, that probably gets accentuated.
it probably does. But yeah, I mean, immediately when you brought up that topic, I immediately went to our first ministry, and what we discovered was happening with our first ministry, and that was that every Saturday night a pattern of a knockdown, blow 'em out fight would happen between us.
Yep.
And
of course, we didn't realize the pattern right away.
Right.
I think if the earlier on, we would have done something about it, but it took a while, and so that even aggravated things because it was a pattern. And the Lord really spoke to Lynn first to highlight that pattern. And to recognize, at least in part, what was happening. So why don't you start with that, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we did to combat that.
well, you know how women are, and we rethink and we go over the same thing, and when we bring it up in an argument, we bring over and over and over some of the same points, some of the same incidences. And so I was thinking about that, and it all of a sudden occurred to me that this was a pattern, that every Saturday night we were having a fight that was not a happy one, and it would leave us tense and just on edge.
Right, and we have always been committed to being genuine with our people in church. We didn't want to put on a face. Our kids grew up knowing that was the case with us in our churches. They quickly learned about that.
You know, what they saw of mom and dad in the home was the same as what they saw in church. And Paul had grown up in a household where that wasn't the case. And his parents would put on the facade no matter what was going on at the home. And that turned him off.
And so we didn't want to duplicate that. We were very intentional about not duplicating that. But Sunday morning comes along, you've not resolved the issues, and you don't want to put on a face, nor do you want to have an argument in front of your congregation. So she identified it early on as at least part of what was going on with spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
The enemy was attacking us in large part on the weekends because we were about to gather with God's people for worship, and Satan wanted to undo all of that, and was trying to undermine that facet of our life and ministry. So just recognizing that was huge.
Absolutely.
So then we did a couple of things that really helped turn that around very quickly.
Yep. We decided that we would not have an argument on Saturday night.
Yep.
We would tell each other, we have something we want to talk to you about, but it won't happen till Monday.
Yep. And you might know, you probably do know, your spouse might be steamed about something, but because we made that decision, it didn't escalate there.
No.
And so we were committed to dealing with it after Sunday was over. That was a blessing and a victory in several ways. One, it gave you time.
Not to be so heated.
Not to be so heated, really. It gave you time to really start dealing with it internally, so when you do talk about it, you talk about it constructively. It also gave us worship time with God's people in between the issue being raised and the issue being dealt with, and that was healthy.
Yep. But we found that most of those issues were nothing.
Yeah.
And that was the real upshot of it. The devil was getting a foothold in nothingness,
right?
In absolute ridiculous he didn't pick up his laundry, or I didn't pick up the laundry, or dishes didn't get. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. It
was-
wasn't the subject. Right.
No, and it was a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
And I think pastoral relationships between a husband and wife in the ministry, Satan wants nothing better
Mm-hmm.
than to destroy a marriage,
That's right.
because that's a testimony to him how God is not all that great. But if you conquer that, you recognize it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is a testimony to God
It is.
and His power.
And pastor, as you know, that your first ministry is your family, and you need to be able to do that well and do it at home if you're going to be successful more
Yeah.
than just on the surface at church. So I really hope that's helpful. I think there's a couple takeaways here. One is recognize it for what it is, spiritual warfare. Two, set a time to discuss it after Sunday is over.
Yeah, that you both agree upon.
That's right.
It is a mutual decision.
Yeah.
And, there's love is not a feeling, it's a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And in loving another person, be committed to make that marriage work means taking the steps and making a decision to have the argument later or make the discussion later. It really wasn't an argument when we waited.
Right, and that's the beauty of it. When you came back to it, we were both committed to talking about it, but no longer was it in the venue of an argument. Now it became a topic of minimal importance as far as the subject was concerned.
Occasionally, though, there was still a
Sure.
little fussy thing that would happen.
Occasionally, but it was little compared to what had been happening leading up to it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we're not the perfect couple.
really? Guess we're not. Blew my. But we are like you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody works out their relationship and
That's right.
how to blend one with the other, and each person brings into the marriage a totally different personality.
Yep. So, I hope this is helpful, and we'd love to hear from you what your experiences have been in this area, questions you may still have, comments. It's all very helpful and can help those who are watching down the road. So, thank you for joining us for this segment of Along the Way.
Yep. If you'd give us a thumbs up or subscribe and pass this information on to others, if you found it useful, that would be a big help to us. And we covet your prayers for the ministry as the Lord is knitting this together before we actually go on the road.
Yes.
We do covet your prayers. And
What you see here are snippets of what could be for you in your setting a much broader discussion and a much deeper discussion. And so perhaps along the way we might be at your location and get to meet with you personally.
yeah. So this is Lynn.
And this is Paul. And thank you for joining us for Along the Way.
God bless. Bye-bye.